My name is Amina, and I will be talking about the 1930 Meuse Valley fog crisis. To understand the significance of this event, we need to explore several key aspects as seen in the objectives below. Let me guide you through the key topics we'll be covering in today's presentation. We'll start by exploring the geographical conditions that contributed to the disaster, followed by a timeline of events and then a deeper dive into the health impacts it caused. We will then try to understand the industrial emissions that contributed to the fog and the historical importance this event holds. We'll start with the geographical context. Here is a map of the Meuse Valley, which I will now talk through. Nestled between two cities, the valley is a narrow corridor flanked by steep hills. During this time, the region was home to over 27 industrial factories, which produced zinc, steel, glass, and fertilizer, amongst other products. The industrial presence also included fluorine manipulating factories, all burning coal to power their operations. As seen in the map, a temperature inversion in the atmosphere was able to trap pollutants at a ground level, creating a toxic fog that lingered for days due to the poor air circulation. Here, we can see the timeline of events of the crisis. The fog began to form on December 1st, 1930, with an inversion. December 2nd, the fog had thickened and the first symptoms were reported. December 3rd, the health crisis had escalated and the first deaths were reported. December 4th was the deadliest day, with a lot of public panic, and by December 5th, the fog had already lifted. By December 3rd, residents across the valley were reporting symptoms of respiratory distress. Medical reports from the time described sudden and severe coughing, shortness of breath, and chest pain. These symptoms were widespread, affecting individuals across various age groups from the young to the elderly. Interestingly, the fog did not only affect humans, cattle in the area were also severely impacted. This bar graph illustrates the frequency of some of the reported symptoms, which were appearing suddenly and simultaneously. When the fog was finally lifted, an inquiry was called on 6 December to autopsy the victims and collect air samples. A total of 60 deaths were attributed to the smog. Victims ranged in age from 20 to 89 years, with the majority of fatalities occurring in Angus, a small town with a population of just over 3,500. These 48 fatalities can be seen in this pie chart. Now, there isn't great clinical data from this incident, so this information was primarily gathered from newspaper reports listing the names and age of the victims. What was in the fog? The fog that blanketed the Meuse Valley was not just a simple haze. It was a toxic mix of industrial pollutants. The most abundant compound in the fog was sulfur dioxide, which was primarily released from the burning of coal in nearby factories. Along with this, we also had the fluorine manipulating factories, which were releasing fluoride gases such as silicon tetrafluoride, which contributed to the fog as well. Postmortem examinations revealed respiratory tract changes such as congestion of the mucosa, bronchi, and lung parenchyma. This image here shows the histology of airways from postmortem victims of the Meuse Valley fog. On this slide, we have a table that breaks down the emissions from the factories which were responsible for the toxic fog that impacted the region. This information is all from a 2001 Lancet article reviewing the incident in great detail. Now, based on historical reports and calculations of coal consumption in the region, sulfur was identified as the main pollutant in the fog. The estimates were derived by assuming that each household consumed around 15 kilograms of coal per day with a 1% sulfur content. By day 4, reports indicated that SO2 concentrations reached approximately 100 milligrams per cubic meters after 4 days of the fog. This graph over here shows an estimates of what that rising SO2 levels might have looked like. And while they are estimates, they provide valuable insight into the intensity of pollution that residents were exposed to. What about fluorine intoxication? In addition to SO2, fluoride gases were also a significant concern. As mentioned previously, many of the factories did deal with fluorine-based gases, including silicon tetrafluoride. These emissions, while not well studied at the time, were identified by Kaj Roholm as playing a key role in the health impacts. Roholm, a Danish scientist known for his expertise in fluoride toxicity, suggested that the fluoride emitted from these factories was a contributing factor to the illnesses and deaths reported, which he published in great detail in a 1937 book. The Meuse Valley smog was one of the earliest recorded instances of widespread industrial air pollution, marking a pivotal moment in recognizing the dangers of industrial pollutants. While many often think of the 1952 London smog, the Meuse Valley event was a pioneering disaster that drew international attention to the health risks associated with sulfur dioxide and fluoride emissions. This event raised public awareness about the link between environmental pollution and respiratory health and laid the foundation for future environmental regulations. To summarize, the Meuse Valley smog crisis was a turning point in understanding industrial air pollution. The unique topography of the Meuse Valley, combined with industrial emissions, created a toxic environment that caused severe respiratory distress in both humans and animals. The event highlighted the need for better air quality regulations and was one of the first major disasters to show the health impacts of pollutants like SO2 and fluoride. The event not only marked a historical case of pollution, but also pushed forward the development of environmental policies to protect public health. Thank you for listening.